Hello everybody and welcome to another amazing video of DIY investing. For today's video, we are going to be mapping out one of my favorite altcoins that I think is going to get this ETF approval. We are going to see massive new all-time highs, adoption from an institutional level as well as retail, and I have all of the charts that are perfectly lining up to show this. XRP has been one of the most hated cryptos, but it has more adoption than almost all of the altcoins inside of the market. The charts are lining up that we are about to see a massive explosion in price. We're finally breaking out from an almost 2,000-day resistance, and this is the time where we want to have our bags positioned and ready to go, because I'm telling you guys right now, we are about to see a massive breakout coming very soon. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you find any value in this video, please do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. And if you guys ever want to see anything I'm investing in, links are in the description to go ahead and sign up on my website. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and with that being said, let's jump right into this amazing video today. Alrighty guys, here we are to start off today's video, and we are going to be jumping into one of my favorite long-term holds, one that I think is going to have real upside potential around these ETF approvals, and one of the most likely candidates to actually get one of those ETF approvals. When we're talking about what are the top cryptos in market cap, the most likely to get those ETF approvals, I think that it's very obvious that outside of Bitcoin and Ethereum, you have Solana, and then it kind of becomes a little bit murky as far as what's the next one. Is it Chainlink? Is it a Dogecoin? Are they going to start approving meme coins over some of these that have real utility? And I really do believe that with all of this lawsuit kind of being under the bridge, water under the bridge, I should say, we're looking at XRP as being one of those that's going to have that clarity, one that's going to get that ETF approval, considering it has way more adoption than almost all of the major cryptos out there. It has partnerships with banks, corporations, governments, and I do believe that this thing is going to be one of the best performing altcoins over our entire cycle. One of the big things that I wanted to update you guys with when we're looking at the price of XRP is how we are moments away from our very first breakout. And this is our long-term descending resistance, guys. I've been updating you extensively, talking about this descending resistance, because I've said that once XRP gets outside of that, it's really game over for the bears, and I'm expecting a quick impulse to be heading very soon. We're still technically closed below it, but we are retesting that for about the third or fourth time now at this point. With us now being so close, hugging tighter and tighter towards this descending resistance, the more times that you react to a certain level, the weaker it gets. This can be support, this can be resistance. In this case, it's obviously going to be resistance. We continue to maintain lower highs, but ever since COVID, we've been uptrending, right? We've maintained higher highs and higher lows, very consistent. Although it's not very significant uptrending, we have maintained an uptrend throughout that period. And we continue to hug tighter and tighter towards the ending of this descending resistance. The more that this thing coils in here, the weaker that descending resistance is going to get. And I have a lot of confidence that once we do manage to get a breakout outside of that downtrending resistance, we are going to see a very quick impulse, probably all the way up to about $2. That's what I would be expecting. Don't get me wrong, from that point, we could see a correction. But this long term is more or less along the lines of what I think is going to be playing out. When we're looking at the long term of XRP, we're inside of this long-term market cycle. And when I pull up the chart of Bitcoin, where Bitcoin contracted inside of this triangle formation for a significant period of time. And it was once we finally got to the very apex of that downtrending resistance, we broke out, flipped it as new support. That was what set us up for a breakout into new all-time highs. And I've got a lot of confidence that we're looking at more or less the same similarities inside of XRP today. We're following almost the same accumulation pattern between this long-term kind of symmetrical triangle formation. We've been coiling inside of this, we've been coiling in this triangle for, about 2,500 days. So this is a very significant accumulation pattern. When we're looking at Bitcoin and we're seeing that once it broke out of that same contracting triangle, the upside potential that set in shortly after, I have a lot of confidence that XRP is going to be doing something similar. The difference is when we're actually taking the time to analyze XRP from the peak of that 2018 cycle to where we're at today, we're sitting at about just under 2,400 days. And if we go all the way back to the beginning of that impulse, it's over 2,500 days. The thing that makes me so excited about XRP is going to be the Bitcoin dominance, because this is something that lines up, very much accordingly with the price structure of XRP. The Bitcoin dominance chart in and of itself has been inside of this bearish continuation pattern, which is the descending triangle. We have a horizontal support and we have a downtrending resistance. We can see lower highs throughout this entire trend, and we're currently working on that third rejection once more. What I find so interesting is over this same period, this was that 2017 cycle that created this massive impulse for XRP. Many of those top altcoins from that 2017 cycle haven't really done anything since that move. Many of them made lower highs inside of their last bull markets as Bitcoin topped at 74% dominance and made this big sell-off all the way back down to retest our horizontal support. Many of the altcoins made lower highs and never actually made a new all-time high like we were expecting to see in that 2017 cycle. Now, as it stands, all of them have maintained support. XRP has only ever maintained higher highs and higher lows. So even though we never got that big breakout into our last cycle, we've still maintained bullish price structure. We're still maintaining support. Nothing has really changed in that regard. The only difference is when we're zooming out and looking at Bitcoin dominance, this is in a long-term downtrending pattern, and this is in a bearish continuation pattern. So whenever this tops, we're looking at a drop all the way back down to this support in a similar way that we started that last cycle for altcoins. Because guys, remember, in 2017, this was the cycle for altcoins. They went from, Bitcoin dominance went from 96.5% all the way down to like 35%. So we had a lot more room for upside because there was a lot more money rotating into those altcoin markets. In our last cycle, we peaked at 73.5%. And we only came back down to retest horizontal support. We never went into a new all-time low. We never saw that same type of upside potential that took place inside of that 2017 cycle. And so with that being said, altcoins made lower highs, and then they just continued on in this short-term consolidation. And then they just continued on in their same consolidation range that they had before. What I believe is coming, as Bitcoin dominance is going to be topping for the first time this cycle, we're going to see Bitcoin dominance drop all the way back down to this 34, 38% region, somewhere right around this level. And it's going to basically be our last cycle all in one go. It's during that move that I'm anticipating XRP to make its first breakout, and this thing could even come all the way back up to these range highs. My first target's going to be $2, but I'm not going to be surprised if we run all the way back up to around $3 as well. It's in this first move we're anticipating our first big breakout. Whenever we come back down to the support, I kind of think the Bitcoin dominance will bounce in the short term. Probably not that high, but maybe something like this, before we actually start breaking down into a new all-time low. So whenever we bounce off of this 40% region, I honestly think that we might see a little pullback here. But then big picture, I'm honestly leaning towards XRP doing something like this. This will just be our first leg up of our new cycle. We'll kind of be sitting here flipping this $2 range, just the prior highs of that last cycle right over in here. And then that's most likely where we're going to end up revisiting the very low end of this descending triangle, the support of that, the horizontal support. And then once we get this secondary breakdown into price discovery, bearish price discovery, that's where I'm leaning towards XRP finishing out this move and making an absolutely massive new cycle into new all-time highs. My personal target for XRP has always been $28. That's what I'm holding to, and I still believe that that's going to be the case. The thing with this cycle, guys, is we have institutions, we have ETFs. So if XRP gets an ETF, we should expect that we could even see a higher price target than $28. 100x from where we're at today is going to be $60. I think that that's a very, very, very high valuation for XRP, but I don't think it's impossible. I don't know for sure. I don't know for certain how high XRP is going to go. But to me, $28 has always been a realistic target, considering this is generally how big these new cycles are going to go, and they're going to dwarf these prior all-time highs. I've seen it happen so many different times over that I'm just expecting XRP to do the same thing, considering this is the most bullish cycle that we've ever had. Now, I wanted to get into another chart that I think is super important and that perfectly shows why XRP is going to have so much more upside potential this cycle than any of the prior cycles we've ever seen. Now, the chart I wanted to map out for you guys is going to be Bitcoin against the M1 money supply. And if you guys notice here, Bitcoin in 2017, this was the prior all-time highs here, And this was us going into price discovery against the Bitcoin M1 money supply. The M1 money supply represents all assets that can be easily converted into cash. So what it shows is anytime Bitcoin is outperforming the M1 money supply, it shows that there's a lot more money to go around. Retail investors have more capital to allocate towards speculative investments like the crypto markets. And this was going to be the first cycle since that 2017 bull run in which Bitcoin is actually breaking out against the M1. Now, technically speaking, we have the prior all-time highs of that 2018 cycle, and we can see that we're just getting ready for the first time to be actually breaking out of that and making a new all-time high. However, we have technically broken out of a major reversal pattern. If we come right here, this is a left shoulder, this is a head, this is a right shoulder, and this is the neckline. And we've currently broken out of this massive inverse head and shoulder formation, and we're currently retesting that neckline as new support. I don't find it coincidental that we're breaking out of this massive bullish reversal pattern, and it's about to take place, leading us into also a breakout of our prior all-time high of that M1 money supply. Seeing this taking place, I got a lot of confidence this cycle is going to behave very similar to that 2017 bull run. And when we're looking at all of our charts, the 2017 bull run was so big because there was just a lot more retail money to go around, right? We saw the markets breaking out in much more impulsive ways. We can see that in our last cycle, Bitcoin peaked at 65K here and 69K here. It's way below our prior all-time high of that M1. So Bitcoin was actually underperforming the M1 money supply. We weren't seeing the same type of upside potential like we had expected in prior cycles. So now, for the first time, we're breaking out of a massive continuation pattern, but then that's going to be leading us into a brand new all-time high against the M1 for the first time since 2017. It makes sense that when we're zooming out and looking at coins like XRP, that have kind of been around for all of those prior cycles, we're looking at a lot of the same similarities. Over that same time frame, this has just been contracting inside of a triangle. Bitcoin dominance over that same time frame has been in a bearish continuation pattern, as indicated right here. So all we're seeing, the altcoins that have been around through that cycle have just been accumulating. Bitcoin dominance has been accumulating, but it's accumulating before a massive new all-time low takes place for the first time since that 2017 bull run. When we're looking at the M1 money supply also breaking out and making a new all-time high for the first time since 2017, I think that it really is just lining up with XRP and many of these old altcoins having that big new all-time high like we talked about in the last cycle, although we never ended up getting it. It was a lower high. We had a global pandemic, we had hyperinflation. There really just wasn't the same buy support and the retail involvement. And the M1 money supply reflects this. Technically, we peaked right around the same high that we made at 14K. When Bitcoin bottomed out of its bear market and went up to 14K, we actually ended up pretty much peaking at that same level at 69K and 65K. So when I'm looking at XRP, I really do believe that we are getting ready for another one of those massive cycles that we talked about. I've been talking about XRP for a long time because there really isn't any cryptos out there that have the same level of adoption that XRP does. And when I zoom out and look at this, I see a lot of those same similarities in structure like what we saw inside of that 2017 cycle. And this was even dating all the way back to 2014 because XRP has been around for a long time. XRP made this exact same accumulation where we peaked at the cycle top. You know, we come in for this second high. It's a lower high, come all the way back down to trending support. And then we just consolidated sideways until that new cycle started. We're seeing roughly the same similarities here between the cycle top, the lower high, come back down to trending support, and we've just been trending sideways throughout that entire period. Once we get outside of this downtrending resistance, I think that that's really where we're going to see XRP running to that $28 target. And when we're looking at this on a log scale, you know, $28 is going to be right here. It's not that high up. I wouldn't be surprised to see XRP even peak up a little bit higher. $60 is basically going to be 100x from where we're at today. Do I think it's possible? I think it's definitely possible. With all of the charts lining up showing we're going to have more upside potential than ever before, it's got me excited for XRP. I think that XRP will be one of those that gets the ETF approval, and that's really what's going to stimulate and fuel all of this new all-time high and the upside potential that I've been watching for over the last 4 years. Guys, if you find any value in this, please do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button. I wanted to break this down because I am really excited about XRP. I know I've got a lot of people that watch this channel that are XRP holders. Now is coming to the point where we're finally going to be able to realize some of those gains. You know, XRP showing this accumulation pattern, you got to expect that this means that the greater majority of altcoins this cycle are going to end up doing similar things. Many of those old altcoins from 2017 are actually outperforming. They've done a lot better than what they did in the last cycle, and they're looking like they're going to be making a new all-time high for the first time since that 2017 bull run. So now we just need to be prepared, be positioned, and be ready to capitalize just by holding this long-term trend. We're looking like we've got another year and a half of insanely high upside potential. So all we can really do is just look to hold that trend and capitalize on it on the way up. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you guys do want to see anything I'm investing in long term, links are in the description. Go ahead and check out my website. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll catch you guys in the next one. As always, peace out.